What's the kind of word on the street with the homies? Like, what are they? What are all the riders kind of thinking about it?
It's nice if the FEI tell you things sometimes before they put it into effect.
Under the Saddle.
Well, here we are, we're back. It's a brand new season of Under the Saddle, and we've got so many exciting guests coming up. Now, if you're listening on any of the usual podcast outlets, such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, there's so many of them, but if you wanted to watch a video version, then don't worry, brand new for this season, we're doing a video version, and you can find that on my YouTube channel, so just search Adam Cromarty, and no matter how you listen or watch, make sure if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, because you won't want to miss any of the conversations that'll be here, and we're hoping to do an episode every single week, so hit subscribe. Right, let's get this episode underway though, and we're going to be in conversation with a young rider. He's called Harry Charles. I'm sure you've heard of him. He was on the winning Nations Cup team at Hickstead just last weekend. He's been to the Olympic Games, he's been to World Cup finals, his whole family involved with the sport. Harry, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing and for being our first guest on this season of Under the Saddle. Let's start off then about maybe growing up as Harry Charles, because obviously your family's involved with the sport. So what was it like as a child and kind of growing up?
Yeah, it's been ideal for sure. A big advantage having my dad in the sport, having done it all before. Been great to have my sisters alongside me, so there's always been a few of us. It's been a fantastic experience the whole way, from ponies all the way juniors, young riders, to get now to the top level and have my sisters alongside me as well. They're getting up there. It's worked out, I think, perfectly, and my dad, I think, no one could have done a better job than him, so I would say it's been smooth sailing all the way, but to get here in this amount, short of a space of time is pretty incredible. Even now, it's hard to look back on,
And having done so much at a sort of relatively early age, do you still kind of feel young? You're still classed as a young rider. You've been to the Olympics, you've been to World Cup finals. Like, you've done pretty much everything.
Yeah, I do feel young. I'm 24 this year, so it has gone quick though as well, because I think that's my first time jumping up and was only 18, and it doesn't feel long ago at all. I guess when you're doing shows week in, week out, you lose track of a lot of time and stuff. So I do feel like I've had a fair bit of experience now at the top level, but still feel a bit youthful, which is good. Thank God.
And for those that haven't maybe come across your sisters, kind of give us a quick overview of that sort of family tree, your dad and your sisters alongside you.
Yeah, so there's me, obviously I'm the oldest, and then you have Scarlett, who is a couple of years younger, and Sienna, who's again a couple of years younger than that. They both did their first 5-star show of Falsterbo. Like a few weeks ago, we were actually all on the same team, which was really nice. And then me and Sienna are representing the British team again in Dublin next weekend, so they're finding their feet at the top level, and hopefully you'll hear their name a lot more in the near future.
And has your relationship with them changed? Like when you were growing up and little, did you used to kind of fight all the time, and now that you're kind of a bit older, you're supportive, or has it always been fairly level? Yeah,
no, we've all got on good. We've always had a little few arguments here and there when we were younger, but now we're pretty similar age. We all want the same thing for each other, so it's great to have them. You can bounce ideas with them, and if I'm not at the yard, Scarlett can ride my horses, or vice versa. It's just always great having family as support. Do you find you have
different strengths? Is there one that's kind of better at flat work, or one that's better with kind of sharper horses, or?
Yeah, for sure. We all have we're all 3 different riders at the end. Scarlett's a good sail rider, they seem to get sold very well with her on, so she's really handy for that. And Sienna also, sharper horses, smaller horses. She means she can ride pretty much anything anyway, but those may be more suited to her.
And that leaves you then. So what's your strength?
I'm not really sure. I'm a bit heavier, so I have to take the bigger horses normally.
And sort of growing up, and obviously your dad was at the Olympics. Do you sort of remember any of that?
Yeah, I remember it very well, actually. Obviously, it was, I think, the highlight of the sport, really, for a country to win their home Olympics in the ring. As an athlete, you can't, I don't think, get any better than that in any sport. So to have done that, and especially I think for my dad to go on a horse, maybe not at the time at that level, and didn't have a great start, wasn't super impressive through the middle days, and then to go in the ring and have to jump the clear when it hadn't been done yet for a week was pretty amazing mindset and focus, everything. It was very impressive. Even you go back and watch the video now, it still gives you chills. So.
What was it like going back to school on Monday after that? Was everyone kind of supportive and sort of knew it was happening, or?
Yeah, no, I had a lot of guys even in year above me and posting on my Facebook, and I was popular for a week. So when I came back to school on Monday, so I thank my dad for that.
I'm sure you made the most of it.
Yeah, he came in to do an assembly as well to the whole school. That was funny.
I read that last weekend when you were at Hickstead, that was the first time that you'd been on a winning Nations Cup team, which almost seems unbelievable because of all the other stuff that you've done. Is that really the first time you've been on a winning team for Nations Cups? Yeah,
we won a juniors one. We won a Pony Nation. I'm not even sure we won a Junior Nations Cup. Maybe we won a Pony Nations Cup back in the day, but no, first ever senior one. Had a few double clears and stuff, and we've been second a few times, but never seemed to get over the line. So, perfect one to have done it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever get used to that kind of feeling as riding as a team, that kind of extra pressure?
Yeah, I love it. You can't really compare it to anything else we do in the sport. You have the global tour and you can ride part of that team, but it's not the same. Riding for your country is the greatest honour you can have. So, and it's a great team spirit now in the British camp. We have turned it around from the past few years, and it's going in a good direction.
I mean, obviously you did very well, but John Whittaker,
yeah,
he's riding just as well now as he ever did, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't get to see him in his, on Milton and those days, but if he was any better than he is now, he'd have been very dangerous. I should say. His riding now is unbelievable for his age, and as far as I know, he's going to keep continuing long into the future.
And what have the kind of big highlights been for you?
I think the Olympics probably still the biggest one. I think the medal at WEG as well is up there, and winning the World Cup in London was individually my greatest achievement. I think it was a dream day. Yeah.
When you went out to the Olympics, did you sleep the sort of night before? Did you wake up kind of feeling different to any other show?
Not really. I mean, it felt very different already because we were stuck in a hotel room already and we weren't allowed to do much. A lot of rules and regulations. But treated it very much like a show. I mean, it was, you go down to the show, you see everyone you knew. There was no crowd. We didn't have our phones really. We were off social media a bit. So yeah, it felt just like nearly like a training show. But obviously, you knew the pressure was there, and
stakes were a bit higher.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was an amazing experience.
So, do you feel you've actually had your first proper Olympic experience then?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, in terms of you go for the kitting out day and opening ceremony and all that stuff, and Olympic Village, we didn't get to do all that, but definitely experienced the highs and lows of it, and the pressure that came with it. So I thought so anyway.
And what about the new Olympic format? Are you a fan of the teams of three?
I prefer it as four. I can understand for the public it is more exciting. I know people say, but it is more exciting to watch. And Whether it's the best thing for the horses and riders, maybe not, but I think the way it is going into Paris next year is a lot better than I had it in Tokyo, and this new rule with the elimination is actually a good thing, as long as you have people who do know what they're talking about and doing, it's doing that elimination. So we don't see, a couple of the same things we saw in Tokyo. But in terms of entertainment and public viewing, I think free is more exciting, but I would prefer four.
Yeah, in terms of that elimination rule, I know it's something that Laura Crichton and Nick Skelton have been quite vocal about, saying that we need to have the correct people in the judges' box to be able to do that. But I think really that rule is more about, horse welfare. I think it's going to be fairly evident. I think, for a judge to ring the bell, it's going to have to be fairly evident, isn't it? It's not going to be a kind of borderline thing.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we can go back to Tokyo, and there was one round. I'm not going to say, but we, as riders in the stands, could all see what was about to happen. And I think in that situation, it would have been very clear and understandable for the judge to ring the bell. And you see it sometimes now in some shows. You have 5-6 jumps down. I think it's very fair for a judge to call you out of the ring and say it's not your day.
Yeah, I think so. And I think public perception is going to be a huge part of the sport as it continues. Anytime you see this sort of Grand National or whatever, there's always like a big outcry. And I think that is going to filter down, isn't it?
Yeah, especially at the Olympics, it's the biggest stage in the world. And unfortunately for us as well, show jumping event in dressage and it's pentathlon, which thankfully doesn't have horses anymore. It all fun. People see a horse and it kind of, we all get put under the same bracket, which is can be a bit annoying sometimes. So.
And obviously you're the number 1 ranked under 25 at the moment. You've been there for such a long time. How important are world rankings to you? Is that something you kind of really focus on, or is it more about just doing the best job with a horse? Yeah,
the world rankings is something it's nice to look at and stuff, and obviously it helps a lot for the shows. Say if you're in really the top 35, you're pretty good because you can pretty much go to any show you want. So then obviously above that there's a top 10, which actually only for Geneva you get to jump one special class, but which is a very special class, which we all want to do. But it's so hard, to face the ranking, and you can soon, get quite quickly despondent and stuff when you're losing points and not. So just try and focus show by show, and if you do that, the ranking takes care of itself. But like you said, it's very nice to look at. Just give you a good smile when you see it.
Is there one rider on that list in particular that you think might be about to kind of push you off, or is there one you have to worry about?
I think, to be honest, the 2 guys, Jill and Schmitzy, have been battling it out like for 2nd and 3rd as well. They keep switching over, so they're probably the closest. Pender as well is pretty well going strong. So, but no, hopefully they don't. Hopefully I stay there till the end of next year, which is my end of my 25-year career. Under 25 career.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Hopefully not. They can stay there. They can stay a bit lower.
Well, you've got a great string of horses at the moment. Would you say this is the kind of best string you've ever had?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Sure, I've got 2 fantastic owners in Stalzett and Thompson, and we've got some great horses in the stable. We have a breeding program coming along now, so 2 really exciting younger horses for next year as well. So yeah, it's really, really exciting, and just long may it continue. You never know. Got to take each day as it comes and enjoy everyone. Baloo de Reventon. Yeah, no brainer for me. Having ridden him and see him every day in the stable, his temperament. You see a few of his offspring coming up there now, and yeah, for me, he's the perfect stallion.
He's a real modern type as well. Is there kind of certain qualities you look for?
Well, he's an absolute beauty. He is, I think, the perfect horse. Great size, great build, enormous scope, super careful, and amazing temperament. You wouldn't think he's a stallion, but he is always forward, always, and such a fighter. That's I think he has everything like that.
We talked about the Nations Cup a bit earlier. Obviously, you were part of the winning team last week, and obviously that format's now changed as well. And Hickstead have lost their official Nations Cup. Yeah. Do you think that's something that the riders? I mean, what's the kind of word on the street with the homies? Like, what are they? What are all the riders of thinking about it?
It's nice if the FEI tell you things sometimes before they put it into effect. We all sit down in Geneva each year, and every year we seem to get told what's going to happen for the next year without any say, any consultation, and in the end it gets very frustrating. They preaching about this new Nations Cup, which maybe it will be great, because for sure there's more money in it, which is good. It needed to be happening, with the Rolex shows and global tours having so much more money than the Nations Cups. But to cut out such historic shows, such as like Falsterbo, Hickstead, it's unfair to the organisers who have stood by the FEI and stood by their product for so many years to suddenly just cut them out like that. I don't agree with it at all. I mean, the Americans have to fly a team to the UAE for 1 week. Absolutely bonkers.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say that was the interesting one for me, because that venue in that show, from what I know, I think they've run a Nations Cup before, but it wasn't even like a Division 1. It was a lower level Nations Cup, and now they've got one of the four.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Because you only have 2 venues in Europe and Barcelona. You have one in the Middle East, and then you have one. So when the whole season in summer is pretty much in Europe, it's going to be annoying to take it's not even going to be a week out. You're going to have to take 2 weeks out. They seem to think it's a great idea, so let's see if they're right. But
see how it works out. Do you think it'll affect the young riders as well? Because I mean, these teams are going to have to be the absolute A team, because all scores count, all points count.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any way for a young rider in the global tour without a load of money to break through. Most of the under 25s there are pay riders, unfortunately. You've got a few guys who, well horsed up and can get in. But yeah, the Nations Cup should really, if a young guy came along with one really good horse, he had the opportunity, because there was quite a few of them. But now, only being 2 in Europe, there's less opportunity. And thankfully, Rolex are such good supporters, and their Nations Cups are by far the best in the world. It would be great to see them do some kind of series, and because you've got Aachen, you have Rome, you have La Bourg,
Spruce Meadows,
you have Brussels now as well. You have 4 amazing Nations Cup shows. So I think all the riders would prefer them to come together and do a series and show the FEI how it's done.
I would love to see Hickstead going green.
We would all love to, yeah, and it would suit it well. So I'd hope for the Bunn family they can figure something out, and with Shoking it to support it deserves, because it would be too big a shame for that to be the last Nations Cup in King George.
And Rolex have been such big supporters of you as well. What was it like when you were kind of named as an ambassador?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was pretty surreal. I was quite young and I didn't feel super deserving of it at the time, when I saw especially the other list of riders. But hopefully now I've paid my dues a bit back, and it's one of my greatest achievements, I think, in the sport, being part of that family, not just as the riders, but you look at all the other sports testimonies, it's pretty surreal. So what they've done for Equestrian also is amazing. The money's come way up. The shows, every time you go to one of their shows, you're walking into one of the best.
Yeah, you always know what you're getting, don't you? It's always the kind of elite level. And with you being young, do you have a kind of social life as well? Because it seems like you're always at shows.
Yeah, no, I do. I try very hard to. Sport can get very mentally tough and demanding, especially when it doesn't go well. Great to have good friends around you, and very lucky where I live in England. I can still see all my school friends regularly, and they all live in London, so not too far away from me. And it's nice as well to get away a bit from the sport and talk about, real life things in the real world as well. But
yeah, absolutely.
We did chat. I got also great friends within Jack and stuff, so I'm doing all right.
No, for sure. And do you have like a sort of sports psychologist you work with or anything? Do you ever kind of struggle? Because obviously in our sport you kind of lose more than you win. Is that something you've had to work at, or?
Yeah, I think still not. I want to go into every class sometimes, and I want to win, and it's not possible most of the time. And especially when I started doing the 5-star shows, I could get very frustrated, because I really wanted to prove a name for myself and kind of show everyone I deserve to be there. But the more I kept going, it's you don't have to. It's not as people aren't thinking of it as much as you think they are. So I've never worked for sports psychologists, so that wouldn't be something I'm against.
And what's your plans for the future? Is there any kind of big ambition? I'm assuming to follow in your dad's footsteps and get a gold medal?
We have. We can talk next year, the Olympics, and to win a medal with the team is I think a goal for all of us. And then going forward, just to be honest, have a long, healthy career. Try and keep great horses under me, great people around me. That would be good enough for me. So,
do you think you'll still be riding when you get to John Whittaker's age, or have you got a kind of plan to be on a desert island by then in the sun?
I don't think so. Helping the kids out with something, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much. Just before we let you go, we've got some quick fire questions, if that's okay.
Super.
The first one is horse idol. So any horse, living, not living, someone else is yours.
Scott Brash.
As your horse? As a horse idol.
As a horse idol. For me, Explosion.
Explosion, Ben Mayr's horse.
Yeah.
And I think we've had a bit of a spoiler on this, but you're rider idol.
Yeah, there you go, Scotty.
What is it about Scott? Why him?
To be honest, even when I was really, really young, already looked up to him when I was in the when I was in the Olympics and watching my father. He was kind of the young guy on the team, and so I was drawn to it. And just the style, his he got a bit of a flair in the ring and stuff, and just fantastic to watch. Lucky to train with him a few times, and like genius.
And what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Just stay patient. Really, it's simple as that. I can get to one everything too fast, which is can soon go wrong. So stay patient.
And what's the worst advice you've ever been given?
Stay patient, because that's the worst thing you want to hear. You want it so bad, but no, I'm joking. It's the best advice. The worst advice is I don't know. I try not to surround myself with people who give me bad advice. So.
Do you ever get bad advice from other riders when you're asking them, like, what did you get down that distance? Or
yeah, but I think they're telling you that because they don't want you to beat them.
Exactly.
Yeah, Nations Cup day, you never really ask the other boys what they're doing because they tell you they're completely different.
And finally, what's the biggest mistake you've ever made?
Oof, dear me. Well, I made a lot, so pick one is hard. I'm trying to think. I can't pick. I don't know. I made a lot anyway, so
it keeps us grounded to making mistakes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super. Well, Harry, thanks so much, and good luck with staying as the U25 #1 until you're no longer eligible.
That'd be nice. Thank you very much, Adam.
Well, a big thank you there to Harry Charles. Great athlete, great horseman, such a nice guy, and a real pleasure to have him on Under the Saddle. Now, I'm sure you've already done it, but if you haven't, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you've got any ideas on who we should have on Under the Saddle, then you can drop me a DM on social media. Just search for Adam Cromarty. Oh, and if you're listening to this on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or any of the main platforms, don't forget there's a video version. Again, get on YouTube, search for Adam Cromarty. You'll find all that fun stuff on there. But that's it for now. We'll see you next time here on Under the Saddle.